Hey guys, Freddy here. Welcome to a modern adventure-y thing. Because in previous weeks I've been covering adventures from the very dawn of role-playing, stuff from the mid-70s, where we are seeing how adventures developed. Because they didn't even know that they were going to sell originally. And there was no format which they could follow. They were trying to develop an idea of getting an interactive storyline across to a dungeon master. So there were a few odd attempts. But those have been fascinating looking at them. But this week I thought I'd cover something a bit different. I'd cover something really modern. So here's this. The Dungeons & Dragons starter set, Dragons of Stormwreck Isle, which is a introductory box set for Dungeons & Dragons. Came out from Wizards of the Coast in 2022. It's the fourth of the introductory sets, the most modern one. I haven't really looked at any of the others, but I ended up with this one in my collection. Now, why did I, of all people, end up with a Dungeons & Dragons starter set in my collection? Because I've dungeon mastered Dungeons & Dragons for some 40 years. And beyond that, I have introduced young players, people 12, 13, 14, to Dungeons & Dragons just using the 5th edition Player's Handbook. So a starter set's completely something which I don't need. But in my town, we don't have a role-playing store. You need to go up to Glasgow for the nearest one, although there have been nearer ones over the years. But during all my time living where I am, there's not been one in this town. However, there is a video game store. But as more people buy video games online, through Steam, Epic, through the PlayStation stores, Xbox stores, etc., there's less reasons for having physical copies of video games on the shelves of those stores. So they've started to introduce lots and lots more geeky stuff. Now, obviously, they have aisles of Funko Pops and plushies and all that for Cthulhu and popular TV shows. But they also had a section dedicated to role-playing games and Dungeons & Dragons. Now, Dungeons & Dragons occupied most of it. There was some Warhammer stuff. I think there was some Pathfinder stuff on it. But not much variety. Now, I love role-playing games, so I would stop in and look. But these items were too expensive for my tastes. I didn't really need them, I didn't really want them, and the price definitely scared me off. But this one seemed quite interesting, because it was only $16.99. But for something just to decorate my shelf that I'm never really going to use, that's still a bit pricey for me. But at Christmas, they put this label on it, down to £13.98. And I was like, might get that. Especially when over the Christmas period, I got some vouchers for that very same store. So I was like, could pick it up. And I went in after New Year. And indeed, this price label was still on it. But there was also a card up on the shelf saying 50% off all Dungeons & Dragons items or all role-playing items. So when the $13.98 drops down to $6.99 for a box set, I was like, yeah, sure. So I picked it up. And it's been sitting around here since New Year. Now, what is it? Let's have a look at the back of the box. First of all, it's a big, thick, chunky box here. Explore a magical world. The Dungeons & Dragons starter set, Dragons of Stormwreck Isle, is your gateway to action-packed adventures in the cooperative storytelling game Dungeons & Dragons, where heroes battle monsters, find treasures, and undertake epic quests. This box contains the essential rules of the game, plus everything you need to play heroic characters caught up in an ancient war amongst dragons, as the characters explore the secrets of Stormwreck Isle. This set includes 48-page adventure booklet with everything you need to get started, 32-page rulebook for playing characters of level 1 to 3, pre-generated characters, each with a character sheet, 6 game dice, and when you're ready for more, expand your adventures with 5th edition Player Handbook, Monster Manual, and Dungeon Master's Guide. Now, I do find it amusing that the image they use is not actually a photograph. This is some kind of CGI. You know, the pages levitating slightly off the table is a sign. But also, the dice are way too crisp and fake. Anyway, inside the box, what do we get? Well, nice cover image, but we'll come back to that, because there's more on that later. We've got a set of 6 dice, not 7 as usual, because there's only a D10, not a percentile D10. They're pearlescent, they're, quite nice looking, and they're quite a good weight. They're not a bad set of dice at all. We've got a leaflet, continue your journey. Advertising lots of stuff. Welcome, adventurer. We've got the starter set rulebook, which we will look through in a few minutes. We've got a bunch of character sheets, very nicely laid out, and with character stuff on the back. We've got the Dragons of Stormwreck Isle itself, the adventure, which we'll look through. And we have a big piece of cardboard which occupies half the box, because basically it would look empty without it. Anyway, put them aside. So, as I said, there's the leaflet here. Continue your journey. Just advertising stuff. We've got the starter set rulebook. And welcome to Dungeons & Dragons, playing the game, equipment, spells. Now this is a very stripped down version of it, but it's the basic rules. Now, something I started to notice in the artwork, which we'll see more in the adventure, was this character. Now, the shield, the haircut, and the armour made me think this is Eric out of the old Dungeons & Dragons cartoon. And then I started to realise, if I look at the cover here, well, that's Hank with his energy bow, and that's Diana, the acrobat. All the illustrations in this tend to use the characters out of the old cartoon for some reason, which I'm not going to complain about. I love that cartoon. I've made videos on it. But I find it a little odd that they decided to go with those art. And we've got the skills, saving throws, working together, finding hidden things, the basic rules. Now, some people have complained that these are stripped down quite a lot, but they look fairly comprehensive. It's just in the things to get more advanced in. So while we've got armour here, it's not a massive comprehensive list of armour, but we've got quite a few weapons, a cut down list of adventuring equipment. You know, there's only one page there, but these are starting characters. You know, they want to sell you the rulebook so you can get access to that. Presto out of the Dungeons & Dragons cartoon. And we've got spells, but really we're only dealing with levels 1 to 3. So we don't have that many. And we've got an appendix on the conditions of characters. And then we've got the character sheets. So we've got a high elf wizard here. These are not the Dungeons & Dragons cartoon characters, obviously. But we've got all the proficiencies, detailing out spell slots. We've got detailing various stuff, you know, what a high elf is and what they get, their background. And it's got a personal goal in here, which is the reason why this character personally is travelling to Stormwreck Island. And every character has their own motivation, which I thought was very nice indeed. Rather than your group is adventuring for this reason. You are all individual travellers, and you will have to find your way of working together. A nice introduction. So we've got a halfling rogue, a human paladin, a wood elf fighter, and a hill dwarf cleric. And lots of details on there, list of their spells, etc. Nice stuff. And then we've got the Dragons of Stormwreck Island. So on to the meat of this. Dragons of Stormwreck Island, the players arrive on this island for their own individual reasons. The island itself is formed on the body of an ancient dragon, which died on that spot. The red dragon created volcanic forces as it plunged into the sea, which caused this island to rise. And it has been a battleground for dragons for millennia. The current dragon in charge of it is a bronze dragon, I believe. And it is a good dragon, so it has formed a sanctuary on it. But the island itself is kind of out of control. There's different monsters on it, so the players will be going to this place, they will be discovering what the problems are, and going out on short adventures to deal with the problems around the island. Before eventually they discover there's another young dragon on the island, which is evil. It's trying to do some bad magic to take control of the island, so they will go to fight this dragon. On behalf of the good dragon. Although why a good dragon can't do it for itself, I'm not quite sure, because it is immensely powerful. So we've got an overview, getting started, some information about the Forgotten Realms, the adventure background, giving the history of the dragon that plunged into the sea to form it. Shareth is long dead and entombed beneath the island. But chromatic dragons whisper she still lives and will one day emerge. 100 years ago, a blue dragon tried to harness this destructive magic. A bronze dragon named Runara pleaded with him to abandon his scheme. When he refused, she killed him, adding one more dragon grave to the island. So the island's covered with dragon graves as well. And she's grown weary of strife, and Stormwreck Isle's wounds are a constant reminder to her of the cost of such conflict. Devoting herself to peace, she's established the Cloister of Dragon's Rest as a safe haven from violence. Living in human guise, she now serves as the leader of a tiny group of hermits and ascetics. The ageless conflict between chromatic and metallic dragons threatens to disrupt the serenity of Dragon's Rest, and this is where the adventurers come in. The outline of the adventure, and then some information for the Dungeon Master. How to handle things, creature stat blocks. Then we've got the introduction to arriving on the island. They step off their boat as individual travellers, but they're immediately confronted by zombies. The sea around it is covered with ships which have been destroyed on the rocks, and the crews of those ships have become zombies for some reason, which they will come back to. But they can fight those, head up to meeting the inhabitants, visiting Dragon's Rest. And there's a bunch of kobolds there, and we've got personalities for them all, information about what they do. Very nice indeed, including some major ones. So we've got Tarek, a human male, Varnoth, a human woman. Got different locations about Dragon's Rest, a map of it, including the Temple of Bahamut. And then we've got cloister quests. So, zombie resurgence, sea caves, shipwrecks, individual quests for the cleric, the fighter, the paladin, the rogue, and the wizard, detailing what their individual goals are on the island. A lost wormling. And then we've got information about exploring the island. There's hot springs, there's an owlbear, a trained owlbear which has escaped. What lies beneath? There's volcanic caves. Then we've got the Seagrow Caves. Again, we've got Hank and Diana. On the cover, sorry, I missed. Again, it's Eric. I don't see Sheila yet, but perhaps she'll crop up, or maybe she's invisible and in the background of all the pictures. But we've got the Seagrow Caves, so they can visit those and somewhat find the curse. And there's Crystal Caves, Cursed Shipwreck. Sorry, that's the one with the cursed zombies that they have to deal with. So they're going to go into this shipwreck, find an artifact which needs to be laid to rest to calm the zombies. Is that supposed to be Sheila? I don't think so. We've got the wreck of the Compass Rose, where this artifact is. Ending this chapter. And then we've got the Clifftop Observatory. And we've got Eric, Diana, and Presto fighting a young blue dragon. And that's the sort of end quest of this. Once they've proven themselves by taking part in the minor quests, they'll be approached by the bronze dragon, who will now trust them and know they're powerful enough, because they've probably gone up a couple of levels, because while they start at first, they can level up during the sessions of this adventure. And they have to deal with this. The Clifftop Observatory. There's 2 winged kobolds here, dragon effigies, energy bridge anchors, different encounters, waking the dragon, Spark Rinder's ritual. Then we've got some magic items they can find. Potions of healings, elixir elves, a +1 weapon. The explanation about creature stat blocks, including limited use abilities. Then we've got blue dragons, the blue dragon wormling that they'll have to fight. Runara adult bronze dragon wormlings, fire snakes, fume drakes, ghouls, harpies, kobolds, including tinkerers and winged kobolds, myconids, owlbears, spore servant octopus, Tarax and Varnoth, violet fungus, and the zombies that they face. Now, this adventure's fairly well done, because it does build nicely. You've got the shorter sections, And they're not overly complex, they're only a few rooms, so simple to get into. As the players explore these minor dungeons, get into the game, learn their abilities, solve it, they can go back to the sanctuary, heal up before going out on the next mission, until they eventually get around to solving the riddles of Stormwreck Island and completing the adventure. It's very nicely done, and I do think it's a very positive introduction to role-playing. But again, it's not of a huge amount of use to me and more advanced role players. But for what it is, I really like this. But anyway, I think I've been wittering on for long enough as usual. So thank you very much for watching. But as always, most of all, you look after yourselves. And I'll catch you later. Bye now.